Okay, so a video for recording, which is going to be a setup for the structure for the PLC program, coursework 2 for the PLCs course in foundation degree. So folks, within this one, what we're looking to show you basically is the structure we're looking for you to obtain within the coursework. So we're looking to have OB1 set up, which is your organizational block 1. It's your main overall controlling piece of equipment for the blocks. So organizational block, you see it highlighted here on the left hand side under your project tree. What we're looking to create, that the coursework says, is to have different FCs or functions as they're known to control different features, and then we will control each of those functions from the OB1 at certain points in times. So what we're looking to do is to actually set up new blocks. So to add a new block, it's very simply from the add new block section. You can double click on that section there. Brings you up a new window, which is your add new block window. You can give it a block name. So if you have the coursework there handy with you, I know I don't have mine myself. One second folks. Okay, so from the coursework, what we're told is that FC1 is going to be our traffic light control, and FC2 will be our 24-hour control for the clock. FC3 is the temperature conversion, and then FC4 is the car park operation. Now, the ones we're actually going to connect up to will be the car park and the traffic lights. Okay, so those are the two that the inputs and outputs need to be at a low enough value, as in around I0.0, through to I think a maximum for the 1214C is I think 10 inputs worth and about 12 outputs worth, somewhere in around there. So we need to make sure that we can fit all the I/O for the traffic lights and the car park within that stretch of I/O. You'll find these out once you have it sort of tested to find out what your I/O is for each of those two things. We have, if you're doing the basic version of the traffic lights, you're going to have 3 outputs obviously for the red, amber and green. If you're doing the more complex version of it, which is task 2, you're going to have 6 outputs. So we're going to have red, amber and green going 2 different directions as such. For the car park, from memory, I think it is 4 outputs, which are going to be 2 for the barriers, and then a further 2 for the lights, which are full light and spaces light. And then the inputs is going to be, I think that all 8 are used from the car park. So you have from I0.0 through to I0.7 being utilised for inputs, and then 6 for the traffic lights outputs, and a further 4, so it's a 10 in total if you're doing the complex version of I/O that you will physically connect to. So the other ones that we have listed that I said was the 24-hour control and the temperature control, which is obviously based around the car park scenario as well. But those you can have the I/O set to a higher number, so those could be 3 point something or other, or 5 point. It doesn't really matter what you select those as. The coursework actually might signify to you exactly what they should be, but we're not physically going to connect them to the actual equipment, so the number doesn't really matter too much. So just hopping back here, we've been asked to create a new block, which is on this particular one here. By default it comes up as a block _1 as a name. I think it would be wise for us to replace that with basically a name relating to whatever the FC or the function does. So the first one we're asked to do is FC1. This is obviously if you're following the coursework and the structure that it asks you to sort of follow along with. But the name, for instance, would be traffic lights. And just stick a capital in there. Traffic lights for FC1. Just make sure you're highlighted on the green one for function. You can select different languages, but we're going to mainly concentrate only with ladder logic programs. So just make sure by default it should be there anyway, but it's on ladder. You can press OK at that point. We're looking to add in each of the blocks here, so just keep adding a new block. Go to the next one along, and the next one is going to be your clock. So 24-hour clock, and again make sure you're on the green for function, and ladder mostly is done by default, and you see it come up as well. And again add number 3 and 4 as you go along. Number 3 is going to be your temperature conversion, and again ladder, make sure you're on function and let it automatically add in. And then finally the last one, which is your car park operation. Car park control, and again function and ladder, and you see sort of in the greyed out section here, you actually see if you're on automatic, it's going to label as 4. If you happen to create these in the wrong order, say for instance you created your car park first and it's labelled as FC1, that's not too big a problem. You can go into its properties and change them, so it's not a big deal. So you could go in manually and select a different FC number for it, if for instance you done it out of sequence. Okay, but if you create them from 1, 2, 3, then 4 in that order, the automatic function works nice and easily for you. So that there is your 4 functions: FC1, which is your traffic lights; FC2, the 24-hour clock; FC3, sort of just a little bit off the screen there, expand out. FC3 is your temperature conversion, and then FC4 is your car park. All controlled via OB1. Like currently OB1, if I open this up, you should see that it is completely empty. If I just remove this out of the way, you see that there's not even any ladder lines currently within it. Add in a new line, and then what you're looking to add is whichever particular function that you want to test at that particular time. So for instance, if you go and you work at the car park and then you want to test the car park, what you need to do is you'd obviously program whatever you want to program within FC4 for the car park itself. But when you look to test the car park, you drag and drop FC4 into what is OB1. So remember, OB1 is your organizational block 1. It's the one that boots up by default when you start up the PLC, and then it tells the other functions to start in whatever order you tell them to start in. We're mainly only going to test one at a time, so all we need to do is have FC4, 3, 2 or 1 highlighted in here under network 1 from the main OB1. And then once you have that done, you would obviously have something programmed within FC4. Currently it's just sitting empty as I just created it. But when you are finished and ready to test, you would then hit the compile button up the top, and then finally the download section. I'll create a separate video about how to go about downloading to a device as well. Keep it separate for you. But is there anyone that has questions here about anything that I've done so far that wants clarified? Grant.